Chapter 62-75. After Steve had contact with Charlie several times, he understood the Oriental art of controlling people. Sometimes, advancing is advancing, and retreating is retreating. But sometimes, advancing is also retreating, and retreating is also advancing. Just now, he took the initiative to offer to bear the salaries of these people, which is a standard retreat to advance. So he and Nate were just being polite. But Nate's initiative to bear all the costs was sincere. At this moment, Nate was quite excited. The reason was that the distinguished Mr. Rothschild was so polite to him, spoke for him, and was also biased towards him in reason, which made him flattered. What's more, although Steve did not understand the human relations and worldly affairs of China, he knew how to draw cakes. No one is better at drawing cakes than his clan. When they draw cakes, everyone will be excited, even presidents, let alone a mere Nate Ellis. Steve knew that Nate's ambition must not only be to build a top law firm in the United States. The ultimate goal of every legal elite is actually to go into politics. Running for a seat in Congress, running for governor, or even running for president. As long as one has a legal background, it must be easier than for ordinary politicians. Therefore, he deliberately reminded Nate in a subtle way to let him focus his energy on higher fields instead of focusing on these employees. On the one hand, Nate was indeed inspired to a certain extent. And on the other hand, he also felt that this was a good opportunity to get closer to Steve. It was rare for a big man like Steve to personally propose a solution to himself, which was a great honor in itself, so of course he had to give him enough face. As for who would pay these people's salaries, Nate no longer cared. For a law firm, earning hundreds of millions of dollars a year is the ceiling. But once you step into politics, it is not just as simple as hundreds of millions of dollars. The power behind it is difficult to measure with money. The implementation of any bill may contain huge business opportunities of tens of billions of dollars. Lawyers have been working for a long time and have seen too many such cases with their own eyes. But they can only come in as a tourist to touch and take a look, and can never really enter it to become a trader. Only by entering the political arena can you have the opportunity to share a piece of the pie. Therefore, with this ambitious goal, the salary of these 10 people is nothing to Nate. Even if Ellis does not make money in the future, as long as he can successfully enter the political arena, this deal is worth it. What's more, he seems to have won Steve's attention. If this matter is done well today, he thinks Steve will definitely become a noble person in his life in the future. Steve naturally knew Nate's thoughts, so he smiled and said, "Nate, you really impress me." As soon as these words came out, Nate's excitement was seen by Steve, so he turned to look at the people behind Jimmy and said, "Everyone, let me say something fair. As long as you accept my advice just now, I believe Nate cannot pursue the mistakes you made before. But in this case, if you still want to get out of it, it would be a bit too idealistic. So are you willing to accept this suggestion and stay in China to work for me?" Almost without any hesitation, everyone nodded in agreement on the spot. For them, since it was impossible to get out of this unscathed, this solution was the best one. On the one hand, they would not be stabbed in the back by Nate. And on the other hand, their salary would be guaranteed. In addition, they could establish some connections with Steve and accumulate some personal connections. The fact that this matter could be solved in this way exceeded everyone's psychological expectations. Steve saw that this matter was going smoothly, so he smiled and said, "In this case, then this matter is settled. Nate, I will give them 2 weeks to return to the United States to prepare. As for you, you should quickly let them connect the work and resources at hand in these 2 weeks. I believe that you, the members of the board of directors, were all very professional lawyers in the past. Now there is a shortage of staff, and everyone has worked hard. Take over the business first. At the same time, you should also set up an internal selection mechanism and hand over some of the work to the young people below. Maybe more outstanding talents will emerge under the heavy pressure." Nate didn't expect Steve to be so concerned, and said quickly, "Don't worry, Mr. Rothschild, I will arrange everything as soon as possible after we go back." and then let them come to China to report to you on time.